rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone. We are going to cut directly to the splashdown. There it is. They're getting ready for the splashdown. We're waiting for Integrity to come out of the blackout, communication blackout. They have data. They do not have voice from the astronauts yet.
Passing through 150,000 feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of Integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post-blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal, and your recovery teams have visual.
Guidance looks good.
No action for the enabled internal camera controller fail.
Big cheers from the viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, Integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home. Passing 100,000 feet now. Range to splash down 19 nautical miles.
Yeah, Amy, me too. For two of them.
Integrity, impact to the camera controller fail is no Cab 1 views of the chutes.
Integrity.
We're processing good data through the GPS system. A good view of Integrity, time to splash down 4.5 minutes. And a view of Integrity from the WB-57. We're at 50,000 feet. The pyros are armed for forward bay cover jettison.
Oh, there goes
And there go the first series of parachutes.
parachutes.
And we're on drogues.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
2 good drogue chutes. Next up.
We copy, we see him.
Next up, the deployment of pilot parachutes that will pull the main chutes out. Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Perfect descent rate according to flight dynamics.
Good rates on 2 drogues.
We see the same on board.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues.
There goes the second set of chutes. There's
Main
the
chute
final.
deploy.
Oh, they got one of them looks to be ribboning.
We're at 5,000 feet.
Oh, there it goes. Finally caught and opened. There we go.
Search
We got
and
three
recovery
good
beacon
shoots.
has been activated on integrity. And we have 3 good main chutes. Good 3 main chutes, good reefing, good descent rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes. Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for integrity. Its crew sounding hale and hearty on board. Time to splash down 1 minute, 15 seconds.
We're going to hold here until splashdown, and then I'll go through and we'll do our normal stuff.
Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon. Passing through 1,000 feet.
Houston Integrity, splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown. Waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
All righty, folks.
And the landing and support officer reports the vehicle is stable 1. We still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation. A perfect bullseye splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
All right. Let's go back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'll keep an eye on it, maybe. Anyway. All right. So, folks, tonight, congratulations, Artemis 2 crew and the spaceship Integrity back on Earth. God willed them to return safely, and they are here. Congratulations to the crew on a successful trip around the moon in preparation for another landing on the moon within our lifetimes. Some of us, anyway. All righty, folks. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is U.S. Abby Girl. I don't think I've seen her in the chat yet. But U.S. Abby Girl. U.S. Abby Girl is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart. This should be a special one because of the return of the Artemis crew. Anyway, Place your hand over your heart and follow along with the U.S. Abbey Girl as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you for the, wonderful rendition of the pledge played here on the program. If you would like to hear your pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style and take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, attach it to an email, address that email, send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. If you use your phone to do the recording, all you need to do is use the share option. That's the S-H-A-R-E option. Use the share option to get the same thing, to send it off to me. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Tonight's headline sponsor is none other than theflagshirt.com. I'm wearing one of their fabulous shirts right now. They have a lot of American-themed styles in men's, women's, kids, made in the USA, accessories in the good old red, white, and blue, and also, of course, the American 250 anniversary collection. You can go and check all of that out at theflagshirt.com. And right now, if you spend $100, you'll get $20 off using the code PATRIOT2026. That's Patriot 2026 to get $20 off of your spending of $100. That's a whole 1/5 off there, people. That is a whole 1/5 off for that. So go ahead and use that code Patriot 2026 at checkout for the $20 off that $100 when you spend $100 or more. But I know not everybody can do that, and so I am going to offer up this. If you go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, that's flagshirt.americanperspective.online, you'll be presented with a coupon code you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you will receive $5 off your order on American Perspective. That is theflagshirt.com, where you can get yourself patriotized. And, sorry, I'm in a bit of a hurry here. So they're after him again. That's right. The left is after him again. And they are talking about, the 25th Amendment again. They've been pushing this a lot on social media. I don't understand why they're doing this. I mean, you have to have actual evidence of him being incapacitated and unable to perform his duties, kind of like Biden was. And not a single one of them was calling for Biden to be 25th, even though he was obviously impaired. Here, President Trump, he said some stuff, but if you've ever read The Art of the Deal, you will understand exactly. Now, the calls for this, of course, happened because of the fact that he was talking about. Hang on. Dropped for a moment. Hang on. He dropped for a moment. Come on. There we go. Sorry about that. We dropped for a moment. But anyway, as far as his negotiating style, which is, anybody who is smart negotiates this way. You ask for the moon, and knowing that you're probably not going to get there, and then you get whatever concessions out of it, and you kind of work your deal, and you get all the way down and get to the middle where you really wanted to be. So, I don't understand why it's so hard to get this. He's telling them, hey, I'm going to destroy you. So you need to surrender. That's what he wants. He's like, just surrender unconditionally. Give us everything. Just say, hey, sorry, we'll never do it again, so on and so forth. And that's the position that he's going for. And these people, I mean, yeah. Anyway, the House Dems keep talking about the 25th Amendment. There's been a bunch of people on the socials that have also been saying, oh, no, use Article 2, Section 4 of the Constitution. Well, guess what? That's the article. If you have your handy dandy leather-bound U.S. Constitution, you can take a look. It's right here. There's Article 2, Section 4 right there. It's pretty simple. It says, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Notice, though, they have to get a conviction. Notice they have to impeach. And it has to be for the crimes of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Yeah, again, they have to be convicted, meaning they have to prove their case in the Senate. It's not just a matter of, hey, you know what? I don't like that guy, so I want to impeach him because I don't like him. And what's your proof? Oh, well, I just don't like him. Doesn't happen. Sorry. It doesn't happen. But anyway, that's what these guys they're calling for. They're calling for this. Now, Jeffries, of course, he apparently they had some sort of a meeting today where Jamie Raskin was supposed to speak and talk about the different options that they have in terms of the 25th Amendment and even impeachment. He scheduled a Friday briefing for this to be hosted by Jamie Raskin, who's an idiot. He may be a, quote, constitutional lawyer, but he sure as hell doesn't know the Constitution because he's a complete moron. Anyway, by the way, his post on True Social or him saying something in front of the press is not a high crime or a misdemeanor. Again, I'd like to know where they're going to come up with the idea that, oh yeah, we can impeach him for this because he's talking about, wiping out Iran's civilization and unleashing hell on Tehran. Yeah, okay. I don't know. These guys are idiots. Anyway, they're complete morons. They're attempting to try and build momentum for this, which is not going to, let's face it, it's really not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. And trust me, all of the Democrats, hive mind, immediately, Rashida Tlaib immediately wrote it. It's time to invoke the 25th. This maniac should be removed from office. Robert Garcia, California, said he must be removed. He's out of control, and his cabinet and all those around him must be loyal to the Constitution and invoke the 25th. I want to know. I really want to know. You guys talk about the 25th. All right, what did he do? What did he do against the Constitution? The Constitution says he is the commander-in-chief. The War Powers Act of 1974 allows him 60 days plus a 30-day drawdown for a total of 90 days to take care of business because of the fact that, they decided after all of these incursions by especially Richard Nixon in particular, in Korea and Vietnam, Congress decided to say, okay, well, we'll give you this power, to do this within a period of time without invoking anything from Congress. So what part of all this has he, where has he crossed the line? Where has he done something that he's not allowed to do? And even that, the War Powers Act of 1974 is even questionable. Because at one point in the history, and this is part of the problem, is that these idiots don't understand history, but at one point in our history, when they were framing the Constitution, James Madison and the rest of the congressional delegates to the Constitutional Convention, they were all sitting there talking about, hey, Congress has the power to make war. And there was a huge debate about that phrase, make war. And they literally all said, well, you know what? The word make is a little strong because Congress would take forever to do anything in a real situation. In a serious emergency, gotta have a decision situation, Congress would take months, potentially even years, to come up with the answers and to come up with a choice. And so they said, well, instead of the term make, let's turn it into declare. And then that way the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, can do what needs to be done. And he alone will be responsible for the armed forces and how they're deployed and used. There's a whole dissertation on that entire thing with regards to it. Anybody can go and take a look at Madison's notes on the convention debates and stuff in order to see all that. But no, they don't bother to look up historical documents like that because, oh my God, why would you bother to have context? Well, they still have that same argument about the birthright citizenship and all the other crap. Well, Speaker Johnson, of course, is, he's laughing about it. He criticized Democrats for what he described as their obsession with removing President Trump from office, saying that none of them breathed a word about the 25th Amendment when they were lying every day to cover up for the dangerous infirmity of President Joe Biden. He put out a press release today. He accused congressional Democrats of once again pursuing impeachment and other extraordinary measures against Trump, despite what he described as foreign policy successes, including the ceasefire agreement with Iran following the decisive U.S. military action. Johnson said congressional Democrats have no message, no vision, and no leadership. An irrational hatred of Trump rather than any substantive or substantive policy disagreements. Anyway, yeah. So there you go. They're still going after Trump. They're trying to get him. That's their whole that's their whole thing. That's their whole thing. Is get Trump. They have no other policy. Well, speaking of policy, you know the policy where the Pentagon said, hey, we're not going to be as open with the press? Well, there's a dumbass judge in Washington. He ordered the Pentagon on Thursday to restore the full press access for credentialed journalists, ruling that the Department of Defense failed to comply with an earlier court decision. Now, the case, by the way, was brought because of a violation of what is essentially the idea of the First and the Fifth Amendments. I seem to recall, and by the way, this dispute, again, just to remind everybody, centers on press access framework that was introduced last year that required the journalists to sign restrictive agreements governing how they could obtain and use information, including unclassified material. More than 50 reporters declined to sign the pledge and lost their credentials. Now, that move, of course, was designed to stop internal leaks that the DOD said undermined the Defense Secretary, or Secretary of War, and hindered the Pentagon's operations. Well, the New York Times, of course, filed a lawsuit against the Department of Defense, challenging its new press access policy, saying it restricts how journalists cover the Pentagon, which outlets can actually enter the building. The complaint alleges the rules violate the First and Fifth Amendments. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm trying to see. Let me see here. I've got my Constitution here. God, let me look right under here. Let's see, the First Amendment. What does the First Amendment say? It says, let's see, quote, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Scratching my head. Where does it say the Pentagon? Or better yet, where does it say the executive branch? No. The first line says Congress shall make no law. This isn't a law. This is basically just saying, hey, we're not going to grant you access to this information. You know, sort of like the states are doing to the federal government right now for, voter rolls and such. Seems like that might be a First Amendment violation, right? No, it's not. I'm still trying to figure this out. The executive branch shall make no law. No, that's not what the First Amendment says. Congress shall make no law. All right. Well, whatever. Now they're claiming the Fifth Amendment. And I'm not quite sure where the Fifth Amendment. It's probably the Fourth Amendment. I don't know why they're talking about the Fourth Amendment even, though, because all of that just has to deal with being secure in your persons against unreasonable searches and seizures. I don't know where that's coming from. The Fifth Amendment, let's see, witness against himself, nor be deprived, life, liberty, process without due process, private property be taken without just compensation. Yeah, there's nothing in here. I don't know where they got the Fifth Amendment. That's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, whatever. It's still not a First Amendment violation. I don't know where this judge is basically saying that, hey, the executive branch is blocking you from gaining access to information that could be of a sensitive nature. Okay. What about when you work for them and you're required to gain a security clearance? Trying to figure that one out. Oh, anyway. All right. Well, the DOD has, by the way, they claim they disagree with the court's ruling. They intend to appeal. They have at all times complied with the court's order. So anyway, there you go. I don't know. All right. Well, I know that I've kind of avoided it. I've commented on it a couple of times. The whole thing with Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, all of these things. Okay. All of these idiots who were all of a sudden, they were like staunch supporters of the president. Now all of a sudden they're just like, oh, no. We no longer do this. Well, they've been hitting at Donald Trump a lot over the Iran war. And he's finally had enough. See, one of the things you need to understand about Donald Trump is he doesn't just roll over and take it. He doesn't just roll over and take it. He actually will strike back. And he did. He wrote in a very lengthy Truth Social post about this. He goes, I know why Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Candace Owens have all been fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the number one state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon because they have one thing in common. It's called low IQs. He goes, they're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. Everyone else knows it too. The president raged. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't have what it takes, and they never did. He continues and, hits them about being thrown off of television, losing their shows, aren't being invited on television because nobody cares about them because they're, quote, nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Here's the facts. He's not wrong. He is not wrong at all with any of that. All they want to do is get those clicks. That's it. That's kind of like the Nick Fuentes. But at least Nick Fuentes actually believes in what he's saying. Unlike, at least that's what I'm told, unlike, Candace Owens, who was probably could be a great example of a grifter in today's day and age. So anyway, Tucker Carlson, of course, did a response to this. Now, one of the problems that you have, look, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to run into, there are so many fake people in this world. And I'm talking about, like, seriously fake people. They will walk up to you. They will be your friend, your best buddy. They'll do whatever they can as long as they can get something out of you. And the minute that you are no longer useful to them, they will kick you to the curb without a problem, without even a bother or a blink or a slowing of their gait if they're walking. Not a single one of them. And you will run across these people. There are very few people in this world who are actually true and honest. And I'm going to tell you, if you guys knew half the people that I know and are longtime friends with, I can guarantee you this much. You would gain an understanding of me, which is pretty much what you see right here in front of me is what you get. I am not going to sit here and BS you. I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. Would I enjoy a large following? Absolutely, I would. And I would credit every single one of you for following me. But the reality of it is I'm not going to sit here and BS you. I'm not going to give you a bunch of crap. I'm not going to tell you, oh, hey, I have special information. I have special information here. No, I put it all out there. I put the receipts out there. I show you where I got the information. I give you links. I encourage you to research all on your own. And this whole idea that these people have special information, like Candace Owens, oh, I have special information. Yeah, they don't ever present it. It's like, hey, if you have this special information, bring it out in the open. Put it out there. Let people look at it. Let people see it. I sit here and I explain to you what I believe. I interpret what I believe is the truth. And I hand you all of the information that I get it from. I hand you, I give the background. I give the backup. I explain everything. I don't see where I personally could be any more transparent or open with any of you. But yet these people, Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, they're all talking about, oh, well, yeah, I have special information. This is what I've learned. And they never tell you. They never bring anything up. They never bring you, hey, this is where I got this information. This is what I'm doing. Here is where the information comes from. They never do. And Tucker Carlson's response to Trump's attacks on him and the rest are kind of the same thing. See, Tucker Carlson put out a morning note this morning, and he basically is saying that, hey, the Israeli government has a storied history of blackmailing U.S. presidents. And he goes and says, perhaps the most jarring example occurred in the 90s when Israel used recordings of Bill Clinton Monica Lewinsky phone sex session as leverage to pressure Clinton into releasing convicted spy Jonathan Pollard from prison. He says this really happened. It did? Where's your backup? Where'd you get that information there, Tucker? I mean, he's just basically calling out a phone sex story. Now, I haven't had time to look into this, me personally. I haven't had time to do this. But I'm almost willing to bet that, yeah, he didn't. And now he's sitting here trying to do a comparison between Bill Clinton's phone sex story and President Trump with the Iran war. And he's saying, accusing, with no full-on backup. He basically says right here, like many other things that Israel has done, it shows that America's special ally is willing to play very dirty to achieve its goals. Really? Really? Again, where is your proof of all of this? Where's your backup? Bring the receipts. And he points out this. He's like, dark money campaign contributions. Oh, that happens all the time on the Democrat side. Extortion. Yeah, that happens all the time. Physical threats and even assassinations. Oh, once again, he doesn't explain anything. He's just making claims. He's just making claims. And Carlson continues and says, their anti-Christian worldview, the ends always justify the means. They have no issue destroying lives. Really? Really? Okay. Really? He continues and says, Israel's current top priority is making sure Operation Epic Fury does not stop. Hold up. I seem to recall Netanyahu saying and Israel agreeing to the ceasefire. Kind of confused here. Huh. And then, of course, he's continuing a very anti-Semitic thought process. He says, hey, they know the U.S. is fighting their war for them. No, I seem to recall that Israel was right along with us in bombing Iran. They did a lot of it themselves. Anyway, he says that Israel has, that this is their best chance at expanding their borders. I don't think they've wanted to expand their borders. Becoming a global superpower, seriously? They're one of the best trained Air Force and also some of the best trained and best fighting forces in the world. I don't know where that came. And he's like, a peace deal will foil their plot. Really? Now, he's claiming that there is a possible Clinton-style blackmail against Trump, or for him, something far more morbid, he says. And then he follows that up with immediately, we do not know for sure whether that is happening, but the mere possibility. Oh, the mere possibility. Let's just throw out an accusation with nothing. With nothing. He's saying, Trump is under a level of pressure that most people cannot fathom, with the rabid Israel firsters viciously harassing him anytime he dares to stray even slightly from their favorite country's agenda. Okay, again, Tucker, look, I don't care. If any of this of what you're saying is true, bring the receipts. Bring the receipts. That's all I'm saying. Bring it out here. If you have proof, like actual evidence and proof of this, rather than just your suppositions, bring it to the forefront, man. Bring it to the forefront. Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, he's trying to like cover this up by, oh, rather than engaging in petty name calling, we want to give the president some grace. Have you ever seen a bully? Have you ever seen a bully? Yeah, the bully just keeps going and keeps going. This is like schoolyard crap. He keeps going and keeps going, keeps bullying everybody, and then finally somebody stands up and hits back. And what's the first thing that the bully does is like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. That's exactly what he's doing here. Tucker Carlson is suggesting that because now the president has actually stepped up to the plate and been like, hey, you guys are morons, literally, and calling them out for their lies. And now he's done that. Now Tucker Carlson's like, whoa. I mean, you're obviously pressured here. I'm not giving any proof, but you're obviously pressured here. Because here, let me explain something to you. See, there's this thing called the Constitution. And there was this thing called the Federalist Papers. And as you recall, the Federalist Papers and the framers of the Constitution were all very, very wary of foreign influence, foreign influence on our president. So Tucker, if you have any of this proof, you should be immediately handing it over to Congress. Immediately. Because if what you are claiming in this post is true, then what you are talking about is essentially treason and foreign influence in our politics. Where's your evidence? Where's your proof? Where is it? Because I don't see it. I do see, however, a Donald Trump 40 years ago stating clearly that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon, that the Ayatollahs should be removed from power, that in order to gain peace in the Middle East, Iran and their proxies need to be eliminated. Now, that was 40 years previously to him even thinking of becoming a president of the United States. That's verifiable. That's verifiable evidence. You can go and find those videos of him discussing this all the way back and blaming Carter, by the way, of the whole Iran thing. That's known as verifiable evidence, Tucker. Where's yours? I just gave you a piece. You go and do your research. Go ahead. Go and do your research. But there's my receipt. There's my receipts. A 40-year history of a man prior to even becoming president saying the exact same things that he is saying today. His position hasn't changed, Tucker, which would indicate that he is not under any kind of influence. See, the part that you miss, Tucker, is that a 180-degree shift, or even like a 90-degree shift, in principle, okay, would indicate some sort of an external influence. Kind of like you, Tucker. Kind of like you, because you know, you were 100% behind the president, and all of a sudden you just like flipped and have gone on this anti-Semitic, anti-Israel rants, and you still haven't produced receipts. You're talking a lot, laughing hysterically the entire time like a moron, you know, like Kamala Harris. Candace Owens. I know that the shooter who shot Charlie Kirk, I know he didn't do it. Really. When there's all kinds of physical evidence, including his own texts to not only his boyfriend, but also his parents and everything else. Yeah, that's called evidence, Candace. That's called evidence. Now, I don't mind, honestly, if somebody changes their mind. Most intelligent people know that as new information becomes available, you make your change. You change the way you're thinking as new verified evidence becomes available. But you don't sit here. You don't sit here and just all of a sudden start changing everything. And what's worse, of course, is that the left is glomming onto this and they're making this out to be like, oh, this is a fracture in MAGA. And there is no fracture in MAGA. These are just 3 or 4 crazy people. And believe me, Alex Jones, oh my gosh. Dude is nuts. He is out there. He is doing nothing. He, in fact, pissed away his entire fortune because he decided to state unequivocally, with hardly any evidence, if there was any evidence at all, which we found out in his trial, he didn't have any, to defame the victims of Sandy Hook and call it fake. And there's no way that I would ever step off of that cliff without having all kinds of evidence verified at least 2, 3, 4 times. You know, there's an image of Alex Jones with a tinfoil hat on, and boy, is it perfect for him. That is perfect for him. All right. Yeah, let me talk to you real quick. Let's take a quick break before I jump into the next story. Kind of got a little hot there under the collar. But anyway, here is Rumble Wallet. That's right. Just remember, banks can freeze your accounts. Banks can shut off your cards. Banks can lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. The reason why they control you is because they control your money. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. See, they actually own the money that you use. They own the accounts. So Rumble has decided to cut that out. See, they're introducing the Rumble Wallet. It's a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With the Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold, on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vault storage fees or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can also be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet. Peer-to-peer, outside of the banking system, outside of the platform who takes fees. Zero permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. Go to wallet.rumble.com. That's wallet, WALLET, .rumble.com, wallet.rumble.com, or click the QR code right here. I got one of these days I'm going to have to figure out which way to point. Click the QR code for more details. Go to wallet.rumble.com. That's wallet.rumble.com, or click the QR code that's on screen and learn more about this fantastic way to tip creators and control your own money. Once again, go to wallet.rumble.com for more details. Well, Trump, as in Donald Trump, wasn't the only one to strike back. First Lady Melania Trump. She made a bunch of public comments literally about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, you know as well as I do, because I've said it on this show, I don't believe there's really all that much to Jeffrey Epstein. I think a lot of it was paper tiger. Yes, he had contacts. Yes, he had connections. But I don't believe, because there is no evidence as of this moment, and believe me, this has been around for many, many years. I don't believe there's enough evidence to demonstrate that, number one, he was any kind of a, let's say, sex trafficker other than for himself, that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were basically bringing people to the rich and powerful, eating babies or whatever else they've all been put up. Because believe me, by now, in today's day and age with the information age, man, all of this stuff would have come out. And you don't think in any way, shape, or form, and I still say this, you don't think in any way, shape, or form that if there was anything on Donald Trump in particular, that they wouldn't have brought that out back in 2016, back in 2020, back in 2024? You don't think that any of that would have come out, especially if it had been provable, verifiable evidence? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, one of the things that's been happening is some of these people who would, again, the people that I just named names of, and we're just talking about, there's another group of people that have been attacking First Lady Melania Trump with regards to the fact of her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. There have been some claims that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania to Donald, that the reason why the two of them are together is because of Jeffrey Epstein, that she hung out and was a part of Epstein's little whatever that he had going on. I mean, let's never mind the fact that she was actually older, too old for Jeffrey. But anyway, so Melania Trump decided to make an unusual move yesterday by making public comments about this matter. That's a long statement. I'm only going to pick a few things out. But the first thing is that she says, obviously, the lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempt to defame my reputation. He says unequivocally, I have never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. I'm going to add in there also among the rich and famous. They all go to the same damn parties. They all get invited to the same places. They want people in that realm want to be seen and want to see, meaning that they want to be with other people who are rich and famous. They want to be the who's who of who's who. That's part of their narcissistic tendencies. Anyway, she continues and she says, to be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Her email to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than just casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note. Oh, my goodness. What do you think happened with Whoopi Goldberg? Whoopi Goldberg and Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. See, Whoopi's name ended up in the Epstein files as part of an email. Anyway. She continues, she says, I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. And she says where they met by chance at a New York City party in 1998. The initial encounter with my husband is documented in the details of her book, Melania. Then she goes and she says, the first time that I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event that Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertaking. He goes, numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now. Be cautious of what you believe. These images and stories are completely false. She was not a witness. She says, nor was she a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes. Her name has never appeared in any court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI interviews surrounding the Epstein matter. Now, she continues and she talks about how she's never had any knowledge of Epstein's abuse of his victims, never been involved. She's never been legally accused or convicted of any crimes involved with Epstein's trafficking, abuse of minors, or other repulsive behavior. And then she calls out and says, my attorneys and I have found these unfounded, baseless lies. And I think what she meant to say is fought, not found, but fought. These unfounded and baseless lies with success and will continue to maintain my sound reputation without hesitation. And then she basically says, to date, several individuals and companies have been legally obligated to publicly apologize and retract their lies about me, such as, and here's some of the who's who, Daily Beast, James Carville, and HarperCollins UK. Now, she ends her post, or her statement, by basically saying, I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. And then she says the testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Now, do you honestly think that she would do this if Donald Trump was in there in any way, shape, or form? Now, I don't know what her purpose is of doing so. I mean, other than taking a strike and a swipe at these despicable people who are basically putting all of this stuff up without any backup. She's already taken on a few of them and won. But otherwise, I don't blame her. Now, do I think this is a congressional matter as a strict constitutionalist? Absolutely not. This isn't. So, Congress, realistically, the only thing they should be looking into is why there was so much effort into trying to tie Donald Trump or anybody else in Congress to this guy when no evidence actually really existed. But realistically, there is no, I can't even think of any kind of a other than political, any kind of a law, regulation, or anything else that would be necessarily needed to be looked into by Congress for any of this. But hey, we haven't apparently been following the Constitution for, quite a few years. So who the hell knows? Alrighty, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, don't forget to hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or in the case of 3 Chevy, the thumb sideways across all my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Tomorrow is Saturday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're 1 hour later. 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening and good night, everybody.